Is that okay to call this a weird, creepy book?
I wouldn't have thought of it like that myself, but it's certainly an adequate description. Yeah.
Because it's not your basic kids book.
Yeah, I think if it's for a little kid, it might be creepy. I don't know. As an adult, I think the weird is certainly apt description. There are creepy stories in there for sure. I think a lot of them are kind of creepy neutral. Hopefully, just strange. Depends on what your take is on the world. If you find something out of the ordinary as creepy or delightful, although some of them are not too ambivalent that way, like the one about the sticks walking around the suburb and that sort of thing. That one is creepy.
I was trying to guess what some of your influences were.
I had lots of broad interests, and I did like the Twilight Zone as a kid. That kind of influenced me a bit. Just those bizarre stories where everything's normal except for something, and that something turns out to be very critical. That always sort of got to me. And picture books and comics, I didn't really see that many of them growing up, so I can't really say, I was obsessed with this picture book or this comic. Sort of treated them as part of the usual complex landscape of media for kids. I think TV and movies obviously had a huge impact because that's the main medium that you're exposed to, especially growing up in the suburbs. And then to a lesser extent books and then sort of reading more avidly as a teenager, and then getting interested in literature and fine art beyond pop culture. So it's very difficult, I find, to summarise influences because they're certainly strongly there, but there's just so many of them.
Let's talk about the concept of suburbia, because it's called Tales from Outer Suburbia. Now, I was very lucky. I was right on the edge of suburbia. Behind my house, there was a field.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the end of town.
Okay.
So, but, my brother now lives in suburbia, where all the houses are quite beautiful, and they're all different, but they're all the same.
Yeah.
Even though they're all different. It's kind of a creepy place. I get very unnerved going there.
That's funny, because I guess I don't think of it is a creepy place now that you mention it, but I never really thought about it much as a kid because it was my daily reality.
You were the fish swimming in it.
Yeah.
Didn't notice the water.
Yeah, exactly. I was a bit like you, I think, because beyond our house there wasn't much. If you went down to the end of the road, there was a park, and the park kind of graduated from, this neatly mown grass and well-kept areas. It got scruffier and scruffier, and then it just became bush. And then it was bush for about a 5-minute walk until you hit the ocean. And there was always that dark strip up the back of the park, you don't really want to play up there because it's starting to get a bit sort of like uncivilized and wild, and there's big bugs, huge centipedes and things, and maybe that affected me as a kid, just that presence of the really sort of tidy, controlled space, and then this wild space out there which was constantly bleeding big insects into the nice space, but the two coexisted very well, and it was actually a really great suburb to grow up in. There's a weird mix of creepiness and paradise in suburbia, because it's a world that people make for themselves that is, what they want. It's like, I don't know if you have the Canadian dream, but it's the Australian dream is owning this kind of suburban piece of land, and it's your little republic that you've got, and you've got all your things that you do there, and it's I mean, this book, for instance, would be really easy to just take a big swing at suburbia and get very critical and say, it's all bleak and terrible, but it's just not,
Usually I don't talk about the books on the cover because the artist has nothing to do with it, but this one, it's a dog sitting on a television, which has got some weird snow on it. The TV's turned on, but it's unplugged.
Yes. Yeah, and the dog's not looking at the TV. He's looking somewhere else.
And there's
a light in the distance.
well, count me as a huge fan because I was blown away. I loved it. It's just a delight, and I can't wait to read it to my niece who's going to be giggling and love the pictures. So,
Okay, great.
nicely done, sir.
All right.
The book is Tales from Outer Suburbia. I've been speaking with the author and illustrator Shaun Tan, and Tales from Outer Suburbia, published by Tundra Books.